could feel their cold, reptilian eyes boring into him as if trying to penetrate his skull. He needed to exit this chamber before their alien mind powers melted his brain or something. 4X gestured for Christian to follow him out a side door. As they walked through arched hallways, Christian drank in the alien architecture. Twisted spires stretched toward the crimson sky. Sleek solar panels adorned every angled rooftop. Hovering vehicles zipped through the air, weaving between buildings. It was a perfect fusion of nature and machine. "It's incredible, isn't it?" 4X remarked, noticing Christian craning his neck. K Prime has looked much the same for over 10,000 years. 10,000, Christian repeated in awe. Human civilization only goes back a few millennia. We were still banging rocks together while your people mastered clean energy. The K are a long-lived species, 4X explained. Our average lifespan exceeds 500 of your Earth years. Change happens slowly when each generation lasts centuries. Christian nearly tripped over his own feet. 500 years? No wonder you built all this. I'd cure cancer too, if I had that long. Most humans are lucky to hit 80. 4X paused mid-step, blinking rapidly. 80? 80. But that's... Forgive me, but how is that possible? It's just the way we are, Christian replied, shrugging. We're a fast-lived, fast-moving species. We make the most of our time, I guess. 4X nodded thoughtfully. I see. Perhaps that explains your rapid progress. But it also means your time is precious. Exactly, Christian agreed. And that's why we need to work together. We can learn from each other our speed and your longevity. We could achieve so much. 4X looked at Christian with newfound respect. You might just have a point there, human. Let's hope the council sees it that way too. As they continued walking, Christian felt a spark of hope. Perhaps there was a chance for cooperation after all. He just had to convince the elders that humanity was worth the risk. The future of his species depended on it. How could your kind advance so rapidly in such a short time? 4X asked, astonishment evident in his voice. Christian shrugged. Guess that's just how a wailing siren drowned out his words. 4X whipped his head around, eyes wide. What's going on? Christian shouted over the noise. Nothing good, 4X said grimly. There is a faction, the Preservers, who believe your species cannot be trusted. They make threats, perhaps now they take action. Christian set his jaw. I'm not about to let some dinos mess up my mission. I'll help you get to the bottom of this. 4X flicked his forked tongue nervously. I don't know. This doesn't concern you. If it concerns humans, it concerns me, Christian said firmly. 4X considered for a long moment, then nodded. Very well. Your perspective may be useful, but we must hurry. The Preservers are not known for empty threats. 4X tapped his claws on his communicator as they hurried toward the edge of the city. The research facility is not far. We will take my personal shuttle. The sleek silver craft was waiting for them at a landing pad. Christian climbed in beside 4X, strapping into the strange seat. 4X's claws flew over the controls, and they lifted off, zooming over the alien metropolis. So, what exactly does this facility research? Christian asked, watching the city blur beneath them. Advanced weaponry, 4X replied, which is why this attack is so concerning. They touched down minutes later at a squat, heavily reinforced structure. Black scorch marks marred its metal walls, and dozens of security personnel swarmed over the area. Christian and 4X approached the blown-out entrance, the human's eyes widening as he saw the extent of the damage up close. These weren't the plasma scars I'm used to seeing, Christian murmured, running his hand over the warped edges. It almost looks like human technology, 4X finished grimly. You're right. We must speak with Zorak immediately. The scientist's laboratory was a chaotic mess of alien and human equipment. Zorak himself, a slender K with cybernetic enhancements, greeted them eagerly. The human diplomat, Zorak exclaimed. I was hoping to meet you. Good to meet you too, Doc Christian said, though he wished it were under better circumstances. We think the Preservers' weapons incorporate human tech, Zorak said, waving a data pad. It's fascinating, really. They've managed to merge our tech almost seamlessly. Christian demanded, how could they have gotten access to our weapons? Zorak mused, I believe they may have operatives on both K Prime and Earth. Troubling, I know. Christian muttered, you're telling me. Any way to track these hybrid guns? Zorak's eyes gleamed with excitement. Actually, yes. I've been developing a scanner attuned to their unique energy signature, but I could use your help calibrating it for human frequencies. Christian responded, "Whatever you need." Let's get to work. Hours blurred by as the human in K pored over the device, Christian finding himself growing oddly fond of the eccentric scientist. Most K won't even look at human tech Zorak confided as they worked. They think it's beneath them. But not me. I think your species has so much to teach us. Christian chuckled, "Sounds like you're in the same boat as me. My people thought I was nuts for trying to make nice with the K." Zorak mused, "Perhaps we are both ahead of our time. Visionaries in a galaxy that fears change." Christian grinned. "Guess that makes us visionary buddies then." Zorak returned the smile, but before he could reply, a thunderous boom shook the lab. Alarms blared as smoke poured in from the hall. "What the hell?" Christian yelled, grabbing for the finished scanner. A dozen armed K charged into the room, scales glinting under flickering lights. They leveled strange rifles at the trio. "Step away from the human," one barked at Zorak and 4X. "This is now a preserver matter." The leader swung his gun toward Christian. "You, Terran, drop your weapon and surrender, or watch your friends die." Christian gritted his teeth, fingers tightening around the tracker in his hand. 4X's eyes narrowed to slits. "I won't ask again. Hand over the data now." "Go screw yourself," Christian spat. 4X snarled and aimed his rifle at Zorak's head. "Have it your way." Christian moved swiftly, lunging forward and slamming into the preserver holding Zorak. The K stumbled back with a hiss of surprise. Christian didn't hesitate. He drove his elbow into the alien's throat, then wrenched the weapon from his claws. 4X's eyes flashed white, and the preserver pinning his arms flew back, crashing into a bank of computers. Sparks erupted from the destroyed machines. Zorak thrust out his hand, and Kevlar's gun ripped free from his grip, clattering to the floor. Christian dove for it, rolling and coming up in a crouch. He fired, catching a preserver in the chest. The alien crumpled. Christian whirled, squeezing off shots, and preservers fell left and right, no match for human reflexes. 4X and Zorak fought beside him, hurling enemies into walls with their minds. In seconds, only Kevlar still stood. The preserver leader roared in fury and charged at Christian, claws extended. Christian sidestepped and slammed the butt of his rifle into Kevlar's head. The preserver dropped like a stone. Christian stood panting, adrenaline surging through his veins. "Everyone okay?" 4X nodded, scales rippling. "Thanks to you. That was impressive." "Indeed," Zorak agreed. "Where did you learn to fight like that?" Christian shrugged. "Humanity 101. We're scrappy little bastards." He glanced at the tracker still clutched in his hand and froze. Guys, we've got a problem." 4X peered over his shoulder at the screen, his eyes widening. "That's not possible. How could they have a base there without us knowing?" "Doesn't matter," Christian said grimly. "We know now, and we're going to take them down." Zorak frowned. "The three of us against an entire preserver stronghold. We'll need help." Christian's mouth quirked. "Then I guess it's time I had another chat with our scaly friends on the council." The elders gaped at the footage from Zorak's lab. Christian stood before them, still splattered with blood, tracker in hand. "As you can see," he said, "the preservers aren't just a bunch of crackpot extremists. They're organized, they're armed, and they're planning something big. This is deeply troubling," one elder said. "But what would you have us do? We cannot risk open war." Christian leaned forward. "Then don't. Let us handle it quietly. Give me a small team, and we'll infiltrate their base and shut them down from the inside." The elders conferred in hushed whispers. Finally, the leader turned to Christian. "Very well. You may have your team, but if you fail, we won't," Christian said firmly. He looked to 4X and Zorak. "Right, guys?" 4X inclined his head. "We're with you." Zorak grinned. "Visionary buddies, remember?" Christian returned the smile. Strange times indeed. How much could change in a day? This morning, Christian had been ready to strong-arm the K into submission. Now, he was putting his life in their hands. Funny old universe. As he prepped his gear for the mission, Christian's mind drifted to Earth, to the family and friends he'd left behind. They thought he was insane for volunteering for this. Maybe they were right, but looking at 4X and Zorak, seeing the trust in their eyes, Christian knew he was exactly where he was meant to be. He'd come to K Prime to fight for humanity's place among the stars. He'd ended up fighting for something far greater. The shuttle's engines whined as Christian guided it through the jagged mountain peaks. 4X and Zorak sat beside him, faces grim. Behind them, a dozen K commandos checked their weapons. Christian's knuckles were white on the controls. This was it. The preserver base was just ahead, nestled in a hidden valley. Intel said it was heavily fortified. Failure wasn't an option. 2 minutes. Christian called back. Get ready. The ship shuddered as anti-aircraft fire peppered its shields. Christian swore and swerved, narrowly avoiding a missile. The belly of the craft scraped stone as he brought it down hard on the valley floor. Go, go, go! Christian shouted, slamming the hatch release. Laser fire sizzled past as they charged out, taking cover behind boulders. Christian returned fire, dropping a preserver guard. Push forward, he yelled over the din of battle. Inch by hard-fought inch, they advanced on the base's blast doors. Alarms wailed as they breached the outer defenses. Christian sprinted down stark metal corridors, 4X and Zorak at his heels. He gunned down preservers left and right, barely slowing. There. Zorak pointed at a heavily reinforced door labeled Main Lab. Christian slapped a breaching charge on the lock and detonated it. The door crumpled inward with a bang. They stormed through, weapons ready. Inside was a scene from a nightmare. Strange machines pulsed with malevolent energy. Containment tanks held twisted hybrids of K and human DNA. At the center of it all stood Kevlar. Welcome, the preserver leader hissed. You're just in time to witness the birth of a new era. It's over, Kevlar. Christian snarled. Surrender now. Kevlar laughed. You still don't understand, do you? This isn't about conquest. It's about evolution. He gestured at the grotesque experiments. Humanity is the key. Your adaptability, your relentless drive, combined with our knowledge, our technology, we will be unstoppable. And what gives you the right to play God? Christian demanded. Humanity will forge its own path. You'll drive yourselves to extinction. Kevlar roared. Only we can save you from yourselves. He lunged for a control panel. Christian tackled him, grappling for control. 4X and Zorak battled Kev's guards, the lab erupting into chaos. Christian slammed Kevlar into a console, sparks flying. Kevlar kicked him back, claws tearing into Christian's flesh. No fool, Kevlar panted. I was going to uplift humanity. Make you gods, we don't need your twisted vision, Christian growled. He smashed his fist into Kava's jaw, feeling bone crunch. We'll make our own future. Kevlar staggered back, blood dripping from his mow. His hand closed around a lever. Then you can all burn with us. Dread flooded Christian's veins. A dead man switch linked to some doomsday weapon. No doubt. He locked eyes with Fornax across the room. An unspoken understanding passed between them. Christian launched himself at Kevlar. The preserver jerked the lever down. A blinding flash, searing heat. Christian felt himself flung by the edge of a cataclysmic blast. His body slammed into a wall, pain exploding through every nerve. Darkness took him. Christian swam back to consciousness, every breath agony. Forks knelt over him. Zorak at his side, smoke choked the air. The device Christian wheezed destroyed. Thorak said, along with the B is Kevlar. 2. Zorak laid a gentle hand on Christian's shoulder. You did it. You stopped them. Christian coughed, tasting blood. We did it, all of us. He reached up, clasping FXX's clawed hand with his own. Promise me, he rasped. Promise you'll keep fighting for peace, for a future where our people stand together, I swear. It. Fornax vowed, voice thick. Your sacrifice will not be in vain. Christian managed to smile. Not bad for a scrappy little bastard, huh? Zorak squeezed his hand. You're a hero, Christian, to humans and see alike. Christian let his eyes drift closed. Funny old universe, me, he murmured. Didn't think I'd go out. Surrounded by scaly friends, he could feel his heartbeat, slowing, his breath shallowing. There were worse ways to die, he supposed. At least he'd made a difference. At least he mattered. How you made me proud to be human. Christian Crawford. 4X whispered. A lone tear traced down Christian's cheek as he breathed his last. The K stood vigil over Christian's body. For a long time, 2 aliens mourning a man who had changed their world. When they finally emerged from the smoking ruin of the base, they carried Christian between them, not as a conquered enemy, but as a fallen brother. Word of the battle spread quickly. When the weary soldiers reached the capital, they found a sea of humans and sea waiting, united in grief, united in purpose. The council met them at the steps of the grand hall. Solemn, humbled, they took Christian from Fornax and Zorak with reverent hands. The deservers, one elder asked. Gone, Thorak said, but at a great cost. The eldest nodded slowly. Then, let this be the last blood spilled between our kinds. Let the humans' noble sacrifice mark at a new beginning. They bore Christian into the hall. Fornax and Zorak walking behind, as honor guard. The eyes of 2 races followed them, witnessing the end of an era and the dawn of a new age. You have reached the end of the story. If you enjoyed this story and want to support us, please leave a like and subscribe to our channel. And for every comment that says 88, I will heart every single one of them. Thank you for your time.